decision to finally go to MIT after 2-3 years essentially of never being able to go. When she first had moved to Morganville, she had high hopes of being able to go to MIT in the future and getting away from the small podunky town that seemed to be Morganville. But then, as we know, very quickly she found out there was more than meets the eye at Morganville. And now there's more than meets the eye at MIT. Claire is sent off to MIT via her boss Mirnan because he wants her to work with a former resident of Morganville that is actually working at MIT as a professor. They have a very specific project in mind that this doctor wants to be involved in, and Claire thinks that it's pretty run-of-the-mill. She's really excited to actually go to the university that she's wanted to go to since she was a kid, but very quickly she finds that there are things that are not as they seem, as there's some very disturbing government officials that come into the lab that Claire works with the doctor in, and she very quickly finds out that somebody seems to be tailing her, but she doesn't know who, and she doesn't know why. Fall of Night by Rachel Caine is the 14th and second to last book in the Morganville Vampires series. Now, this, when I first read it in high school, I remember loving a lot, but similar to my thoughts on a lot of the other books that I had read in this series that I have now reread for the first time since that point over the last year, I have completely forgot half of what happened in this book because so many things caught me off guard. For one, the whole introduction of this government team essentially that was involved in this story, I had completely forgotten about in terms of who was behind it and who was involved with it. I remember the team itself. I don't remember who specifically was involved with it though, so it was very, very refreshing to get a reminder of that, and I was so pleased with how they were introduced. I think that this is like one of my more favorite parts of the series in general, but I think, to be honest, Fall of Night is now my #1 favorite book in this entire series, beating Ghost Town, which I didn't think was possible. In addition to the main plot of the story, we do follow the perspective of Caine, because Caine has some trust issues. Based on things that happened in the last book, Bitter Blood, which I'm not going to go into because it is a little spoilery in terms of that book, Caine has some very major trust issues, not on the part of Claire, but of other people. And he doesn't trust that she is capable of being by herself for too long before somebody is going to come and try to hurt her. And so he gets the bright idea to literally follow her halfway across the country, all the way out to Boston, to make sure that she will remain safe. And if he finds out that she remains safe, he will go back to Morganville, supposedly. This was one of the things that I think I forgot about, really. Like, I remember that he had followed her at first when I had first read the series. Like, I remember that that was a huge thing, but I forgot kind of how ridiculous it was, because it just kind of made me feel like Caine didn't really understand Claire at all, and that was kind of the whole point of it, I think, though, because there's many points in the story where Claire and Caine are talking, and she tells him that he needs to trust her. He needs to trust that she will take care of herself. He needs to trust that she's not going to go and do something stupid. And I think it is just a huge flaw that is brought up about Caine's character that I think is necessary, because we've only seen him throughout the entire series as being this strong guy. He's very secure in himself. He's not afraid to throw a punch at a vampire despite the fact that they might kill him. But I think in this book in particular, with the events that happen in Bitter Blood, we really see a chink in Caine's armor, and that is his love for Claire. He loves her so very much that he wants to protect her at any cost. And at the same time, though, he is so insecure about their relationship and the fact that she can be ripped away from him at any moment that it affects the way that he's able to put trust in himself and put trust in her. And I think it's a very, very humbling moment because, like I said, up to this point, we don't see that for Caine. We have really only since Bite Club been getting his perspective of things, and we saw that in Bite Club, a lot of things that he was hiding, a lot of the anger he still felt for Michael and for the vampires in general, And then in Bitter Blood, there's this huge thing that happens between him and Claire that really kind of rocks his boat a lot. And I think that here in Fall of Night, we get a real sense of what he feels, and we really see those cracks in the armor that otherwise we wouldn't have seen. I think it was in general a very, very good way to bring up the fact that he is not as secure as he seems to be. Do I think he necessarily had to go follow Claire all the way to MIT? No. I think that's a little stalkerish in my opinion, but I do appreciate what Rachel was trying to do with that entire part of the story, because I really liked seeing Caine being so very vulnerable, and especially when he would actually like talk to Claire like on the phone, acting as if he was still in Morganville. There was a lot of love that I felt, and that was one of the things I loved so much about that series, was I felt like the love that is between Caine and Claire over the course of the entire series was incredibly organic. It felt real, and to be honest, was one of the series that really made me hope that sometime in my life I would find somebody that I could love like Claire loves Caine, and that would love me like Caine loves Claire, and I did. So I feel like I just had so much love and appreciation for that moment this time around, because it reminded me how much I loved that when I first read the series in high school. I think in general this book also showcases so much how much Rachel's writing has grown, because if you read the very first book in the series that had come out in like 2003, it was crap in terms of writing style. It was juvenile. It was so teenage talk and angst and all that stuff, and it was bad. But as time goes on over the course of the series, which continues into the mid-2010s, where things like Twilight and things like vampire paranormal romances really start to kick off, the last few books in this series are some of the best I think that you will find in the entirety of that time frame, because Rachel's writing literally grows up with these characters. Claire becomes so much more of a badass from each book to the next. And then when we start to see the other perspectives come in, starting with Ghost Town and Bite Club, we really get a lot more complex writing. We get so much more complexity in terms of the structure of Morganville, so much complexity with the characters and understanding some of the ones that we didn't see perspectives of in the earlier books, like Amelie and Oliver and Myrnin and Caine and Eve and Michael. Like, everybody becomes so much more complex once the other perspectives start flowing in the later books. This one in particular, I think really showcases how amazing Rachel's writing has gotten over the course of time, and is a real exemplary statement in terms of the fact that she's really solidified herself as an author. She's solidified this series with the complexity of the story and where it's heading here in the last book. So there you guys go. That is my review of Fall of Night. I obviously gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It is now my #1 favorite book so far in the series, with the last one still undecided as I haven't read it yet. I have very high expectations though, because I remember that when I first read this series that it was one of my top 5 favorites of the entire series based on the ending alone. So I hope that Daylighters doesn't disappoint me. I really want this series to end on a bang, but you guys are gonna have to wait until later this month to see that review. So anyway, if you guys have read any of the books in this series, if you've gotten to this point in the series, let me know what your thoughts were down in the comments below. I would love to hear them. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit the button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys.